sometimes I like to drag a chair over and just put it by my hips so that I remind myself not to be moving too much back and forth. Because when you're on this line with a partner and their camera's right here, if you start moving, they have to start moving too. Because once I move to my right, and if Indy's still in that spot that I placed her, I'm now blocking her coverage camera. And I could compensate if I have to move to the right. I could compensate by kind of opening my shoulder up, turning a little bit so that it's not blocked. But that's just something I need to be thinking about. Indy, could I have you come in here so we can show them kind of what that looks like if we start moving? Mm-hmm. So I will try to follow you if you are just standing, just kind of like move however you feel.
Yeah.
Because if Indy moves out this way, she's going to block her own coverage camera with me. So I have to move. And then I have to follow, just to make sure. It's as though there is a pole stuck to my stomach and stuck to Indy's stomach. And wherever she goes, I have to go. So that's something to keep in mind that you will want to practice before you get on set. Because if you're trying to remember lines and deliver lines and do your blocking and have business with props, and then your scene partner starts moving back and forth, you're going to either miss it completely or you're going to forget your lines. So it's good to be able to practice and just kind of feel like mirroring a person is a natural thing.
Yeah. And I'd say from a technical perspective of camera coverage, the operators that will be operating these cameras will also be able to adjust to an extent, but it really sucks when we don't have, if it's like a dirty shot, meaning there's like a piece of you within the over the shoulder. If it's clean, there's no piece. If it's dirty, there's a piece of you, like a shoulder, your hair, or like an arm, whatever. If we lose that in one, but it's dirty in the other, it's kind of an ugly combination. So that's why it's nice to have the mirroring technique, because you, unless otherwise like told not to do that, it's better because we can both still maintain a dirty coverage rather than clean. And that's vice versa for clean as well, because your operators will try and keep making it clean, or your operators will keep trying to keep it consistent with like the framing of having it dirty. And so that's really great. Yeah.
So for example, if Indy is standing here and she moves this way, I have an option to either totally scoot over and follow her, but sometimes it's too fast or it can be like a really big move. So another option is let's go back. And remembering that this is the wide camera and this is my coverage. So if Indy does that move again, I also have the option of just kind of turning a little and opening up my shoulder to make sure that her camera can still see her. And I think that that's helpful for what you were just saying about keeping something dirty. Because instead of completely moving yourself out of that camera, you're still staying in and keeping it dirty, but you can still see your partner.
Yeah. And your director and operators, if not the DP as well, should be communicating this with you if you're in like a multi-cam setup. As well as rehearsal, and that's why marking is really important. So hopefully you have some marks on the floor that give you guidance, and then as well, keeping these things in mind alongside the communication of what will happen on set will get you in a really sweet spot.
Yeah, on set, this doesn't have to be a lonely endeavor where you're just like, oh my god, I have to always compensate for my partner and just like be perfect. You can talk to your operator and be like, hey, I've noticed that during blocking, she tends to scoot over to her right leg. Is it better if I scoot with her, or would you prefer I turn? That's probably something they appreciate, knowing that you can understand and like collaborate with them.
Yes, and just have that conversation in private so the other actor, if you don't know them well, isn't like, well, I can just stop moving.
Yeah, it happens. You also don't want to like cause someone to feel like they have to be stiff.
Yeah.
The more fluid the more you practice this, the more fluid and comfortable you will become with these moves. Yeah. So it's a great idea to pull out your Post-it notes and practice them at home.
Yeah. And as always, rule of thumb is if you can't see the camera can't see you. It's the same thing with the Post-it notes.
Yeah.
If I'm blocking myself, it means that's kind of where I'm meant to be. And my post-it note. And if I'm over here covering her sticky note from her eye line, the camera can't see her. So it's a really great way to play even in scene study, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Fun. Thanks,
Fun.
Haley.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
I hope this was helpful for you guys.